Good afternoon. Looks to be working. I don't know why I'm always a little circumspect. Is that the right word? About whether it's working or not. But yeah, I think it's working. So, probably a brief session today. I just want to carry on with what I was doing yesterday. So, yesterday I did a little bit of work on Tinboard, my pinboard client for the terminal. And I got to thinking that it would be useful to have a little facility whereby, given a bookmark, given that bookmarks can sometimes disappear, I save, record, hold on to stuff going back quite a few years. And so sometimes you do find that stuff goes away. Either it just 404s or, the actual server itself, the site itself disappears kind of thing. At which point I normally, what I'll do is I'll look at the URL, go to the Wayback machine, see if it's still there. If it is, maybe edit the saved URL for the bookmark to go to the Wayback machine, or just remove it because it's no longer relevant anymore, or just remove it, kind of thing, because maybe I'm not really that interested in keeping it. But I got to thinking the other day that it might be a useful step, or it might be a useful tool to have a step where I can press a button and just have Tinboard go, is this bookmark in the Wayback machine? Is it archived? And if it is, then I can make a decision about whether to keep the URL or not. As an extra step, what I may do is, as I mentioned before, I may add a replace the URL for this bookmark with the archive URL, that kind of thing. That'll be a separate step. I've just actually realised as well that in all of this, I probably want to add a facility at some point where it before I go off and check if a bookmark is in the Wayback machine, it should just look to see if the bookmark is for an entry in the Wayback machine and then go, why are you doing this? I suppose it's one of those things where it would make sense to just not have the facility enabled in the first place. If you're highlighting a bookmark, that happens to already be pointing to the Wayback machine. But unfortunately, Textual at the moment doesn't have, say for example, that degree of dynamic key bindings, and having a dynamic key binding is something that would definitely be involved there. So anyway, all that said, let's do a little bit more coding. So the thing I want to do today is, as I say, this probably won't be a very long session. So yesterday I got it to a point where if I hit the W key, goes off, checks, and sees if the URL is available in the Wayback machine, and tells me if it isn't, and that one is, for example, so it tells me that it is and when it was last archived. I spent a bit of time trying to decide how I was going to go about doing this, how I was going to display this information that yesterday. So I didn't really get into the actual detail of how this dialogue was going to look, how the information was going to be presented. So this is the minimal information that I'm kind of showing off here. So what I kind of want to do today, a bare minimum, is actually turn that little bit of information, which, should only take a moment to glance at it and realise that it's basically a date and time, turn that information into something a little bit more human friendly, and maybe also add a button which will be go to the Wayback machine, go and view that archived copy, that kind of thing. So nothing too grand, nothing too taxing. I'm a great believer that I shouldn't really do anything that taxing while I'm actually streaming. Probably not a great plan. I'll also say as well, there's a phone call I'm sort of half expecting before close of play today. As a time of recording this, it's almost 4 p.m. May not get the call. We'll see. But if I do, I may go AFK. You'll know if I go AFK because a big thing will appear on the screen to say I am AFK. But then I will be back. So if I do get interrupted, do excuse me. Right, so anyway, all that said, what I want to do is basically make this a little bit nicer. Sort of stretch that out a little bit. The other thing I'm thinking is, okay, so we have the Wayback data and all that kind of stuff. Actually, I think the first thing I'll do, I might actually look at doing the button. So I'm actually going to call that close. And because I'm going to have multiple buttons, I now need an ID. So I want to go, I'll be able to differentiate the buttons. And then what I'm going to do is so I'm going to say that's the view. Would help if I could spell archive as well. How the heck I managed to hit N then? I have no idea. So I don't want the view button there until I know I've found it. So I'm going to introduce I'm going to say the view button is it visible or visibility? I can never remember. It's visibility, isn't it? Yes. No, it's display. Actually, it's display that I want in this case, isn't it? That's what I want. So I want the view button to not be visible to start off with. Oh, come on. I can type. I can type. Right, so it's not visible. That's good. I just realised as well I should probably oh, now it's going to want to... Yeah, I'm going to have to... set the default focus. I'll get around to that. So basically I'm saying the view button by default is not going to be visible. But now I need to introduce a... Oh, hang on. Or maybe what I should do is... No. I'm basically going to say it's invisible in all cases. I'm going to introduce a... Oops. I've forgotten what the opposite of display none is. Is it block or inline? I can never remember. I'm going to have to check the docs. Block. It is block. So basically what I'm saying is by default the view button is not displayed, but if the available class is on the screen, then we'll display it. That's my thinking. That's my thinking. And I can use that for something else as well, because I was thinking of actually doing a different colour border, you know, like a green or something like that. Or actually, maybe colouring the whole dialogue, so you get this very positive feedback or this, you know, negative feedback, that kind of thing. So we'll check that, and it's not available. We'll check that, and it is available. The buttons need, yeah, but that's fine. Because now, yeah, I don't want it horizontal now, don't I? Really. Change that for horizontal. Change that for horizontal. And that's behind auto, I think. So far so good. And yes, more like that. Okay, cool. So I want to style things a little bit. Never remember which way around that's spelled. Intextual. That way. Spelt the wrong way. Right, that's more like it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say, just want a little space between them. We'll just put a little bit of margin on the view button, because that's the one that disappears. Yay, that works. And look at that, that's centered. So that works. We're good, we're good, we're good, we're good. So then it's going to be on ob. I can type. It doesn't need to be in action because I'm not going. Well, should I put a binding on that? No, probably not actually. So it's basically going to be, I'm going to check, I'll do a double check here. It shouldn't be necessary. This code won't ever, or should never be called unless there is an actual archive entry. But I'm going to basically say if is instance Wayback data and we want it to be availability. Oh. And there's something available. Then we're going to rename it something like that. That's the archive URL we're going to view. So that should work. Wayback. View. Right, that's actually opened in my default browser, which I don't show, but what I'm going to do is open my streaming browser, and this is the URL that it gave me. Bit slow, but there we go. So that's the URL it took me to, which is to be expected, and I've got a view of the page, and I can see how far back it's been archived and all that kind of stuff. Standard Wayback Machine stuff. So that works. That works, that works, that works. Close. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. That looks good. So that's a new little feature added. So the next thing I want to do is kind of tidy up the way the information is shown. So I'm going to want date time. And then let's think. No, jumping ahead of myself there. I'm going to parse that. I always forget which way around this is. It's what we're parsing, and then it's the format. So what do we want? What do we want? What do we want? Percent year. Is it lowercase m? Uppercase M? It's all lowercase, isn't it? It's just year is for day, and then hours, not that, minutes, seconds. I think that's right. Is that right? Pretty sure that's right. Right, this is going to look like trash, but at least we can check. Actually, not that trashy. It's actually made it a little bit more readable. What I could do is where have I used it there? I'm going to use that as well. we can do is, yeah. Something like that. Yeah, I like that. It gives us an idea of how old the archive thing is. So that one was last 3 years ago. Presumably hasn't changed much since then. Yeah, I like that. I like that. I mean, obviously, there is the thing of when you show the natural time like that, you know, if it's 12 seconds ago, then it's 12 seconds ago, and then 13, and then 14, and then 15, and so on. So there is that thing of if it's actually really, really, really recent, you want to be updating the time. Could do that, could use a set interval or something like that to actually update that. But the likelihood of it actually having been archived mere moments ago, unless I suppose you triggered it or something. I've not really played that much with triggering archiving in the Wayback Machine. But unless there's this huge coincidence, then it doesn't seem like that much of an issue. So I'm not going to worry about that. I think that's pretty much what I wanted. Let me just, what did I, hang on, just getting my windows sorted. What did I do? Is there anything else? So we can see that, is it worth me reporting the status? Probably should. Don't need to show the URL because we know what the URL is. Type. Do I like that? Probably like that. There's no harm in it being a little technical. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's working for me. Okay, I think that's the thing. I think that makes sense. I think that works. That's actually pretty tidy. I'm tempted to There's a couple of things I kind of want to change cosmetically. So one thing I just noticed is, if I check that, the title is the default, the colour I set for the base dialogue. I probably want a better colour for that. I wonder, can you... Actually, do I have to reassert accent? No, maybe that is the accented colour. What if I say text? I don't think text is valid there. Oh, it is. Is that readable? Kind of okay. I'm going to play with this a little bit actually. Is that even a thing? I can't remember if that's a thing. No, it's not a thing. Let's just... Is under the reference? No. Guide. Design system. What we got? A success. I got primary as secondary. Primary and secondary. Oh, darken, not darker. Darken. Darken. Oh, kind of liking that. Kind of liking that. Kind of liking that. Might change the colour of the button as well. I'm also curious now, does it choose a colour? No. I wondered if we chose a colour for the text that was sensitive to the background. Something like that. Don't think it's making any difference, is it? See what it's like if I go lighter. I'm not a huge fan of that. I think I'm better off. I think it was better off like that. Yeah. And then I'm also thinking I think that's right. Yay! Need to sort the focus as well. Need to sort the focus. The reason why the focus is disappearing is obviously I've got this other button that's not there. It's invisible. It has focus. So it looks like focus isn't being bumped across. Once things are settled down, so I probably need to sort that. I can sort that. In fact, I wonder if a pseudo selector for can focus. Let me just find the first button though, can I? Hang on. No, that's not search. CSS queries, pseudo classes, matches which have, not which can. Poop. That would have been handy. That would have been handy. Just trying to. I'll come back to that. Call back. Try again. I will come back to that. What I'm wanting to do at the moment is just sort the colours. So I'm going to force an error in a moment, so I can check the error one. So I want to do something for when things work. I'm going to say that didn't work well. It did not work well at all because I'm doing it on the button. Didn't want to do that. That's what I wanted. I mean, it gets the point across, right? It gets the point across. God, it's not going to work. I'm kind of nesting things a bit hairily deep there. No. Oh, that's interesting. So I want to say that feels like a bug, actually. Although it's a bit of a hairy thing to ask it to do. But it kind of feels like a bug. No, it doesn't. I'm being an idiot. I'm being an idiot. Hang on a second. That's there. That's what I mean. I say with great confidence. With the confidence of a LLM. Hey, I was right to be confident. Okay, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. And I now want to can't really set the variant on a collection of buttons. But something like that. It's a bit garish, but I kind of like it. Kind of works for me. Because it's like really in your face, and it's like, yay, it worked. Unlike sad trombone colour, you know, it's like, yeah, didn't quite so work. Like, it worked. It went off and checked the archive, but there's nothing there. So, okay. Yeah. Right. So I wanted to solve that focus issue. It shouldn't be too difficult. It's just what's the nicest way of doing it. Actually, I think generally I want the close button to be focused anyway. What is it? Autofocus, that's it. That works. Just noticed when it's starting up, there's like a little line at the bottom. I'm going to have to force it to appear to take a long time, just so I can figure out what that is. Right. Looks good. Just scanning over. Try again. I'm just scanning over the code just to see if there's anything I've kind of missed or could be done in a slightly nicer way. Mostly though, I think it's okay. Oh, I did want to sort of force an error, didn't I? Just gonna go like that for a moment. That makes sense, because it actually does have data. Let's make it I just realised though, if I Oh, why aren't you happy suddenly? If I assign to it again, I'm going to go into a loop. I just wanted to... actually, this is easily done. It needs to go in there. So we hit the finally. There we go. That's what I wanted. I just want to make it an actual error. That should have been a... I don't think I set the error. No, I didn't. That's more like it. Getting somewhere, and then it's going to be... Yeah, there we go. So this didn't work. That's fine. Get rid of that now. Just check it didn't break anything else. Modeling looks good. But I think... Ah, come on. Fingers are getting out of sync. Yeah, so that's looking good. It's there, it's on the Wayback. We can see when it was archived, we can see what the status was, and we can see how long ago it was as well. Nice, 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 nice. Just trying to think, is there anything else I actually wanted to do? Or am I pretty much good there? There's something else. There was something else I wanted to do. Oh, yes. I didn't say it out loud, but I was just thinking... something like that. It just feels a little bit more natural. So, you know, that was 2 months ago. That kind of thing. That feels about right. Yeah. And of course, I am going to leave that in the footer. I think that makes sense down there. And I was thinking about having this double state where, you know, W would check and Shift W would just go to the archive. But actually, I think having it so that you just check if it's there first, and then there's no point in like getting out of here. Check again. Yeah, it's there. And so you click on that and you go view the archive. I do still want to figure out what is it that's... What is it? Try again. What is it that's causing it to not... I think it's that I want to do. It's that line there. That line there. What are you from? What are you from? What are you from? Oh, I think it's just the fact that the loading indicator doesn't have the same background as the actual vertical that's forming the dialogue. Pretty sure I've run into this before. I think... loads it into the vertical. I think I just need to do... I spelled that right. I think I have, because that looks right now, I think. Yeah. Can do that. I can do that, and that's just basically be whatever the background colour is. Thinking about it. Can't remember. Can you just... You can. You can. Curious why it's a little high. Actually, is it just like one line off? Actually, it doesn't matter, because I'm just forcing the issue there anyway. It should only try again. It should only flash there for a brief moment. And it was just that little line that you could see at the bottom where the colour was different that was bugging me. I kind of feel that's a cosmetic issue with the loading indicator. I seem to remember yeah, it sets a background, a boost. Hang on though. Maybe not. But it inherits from widget. So no, I'm looking at the wrong background. It inherits from widget, but I think widget has a default color, and I don't think it's transparent, as it were. think I feel like that's it. I don't know, maybe lighting indicator should be by default styled like that. I'll have a look at that at some point in the future and maybe do a PR and see if the owner of the repository is up to accepting it. But I think that is what I wanted. I thought that one was. So I'm gonna leave. Not actually stop streaming right this second, but in terms of the feature I'm developing, I think I'm going to leave it here. I think I'm going to call this a done thing. There's a couple of things that I would be interested in adding to it. So as I said, if I was to come here, for example, I can another button that I may want to add at some point would be a replace. So, and what it would do is it would replace the URL of the underlying bookmark with the Wayback archive. I think that would make sense. I think that would be a good way of doing things. The other thing that I was thinking is, I haven't checked, but presumably you can put together a URL such that it submits a link for archiving. So it could be useful on these ones that where it's like there's no, the bookmark, as it were, is not in the Wayback machine. It might be useful to have a button there which is, request, submit, or whatever it is, to actually get an archive created. That seems like a good thing to have as well. But off the top of my head, I don't know if there's an easy way of doing that. I'm going to guess there is. I could start Googling it now. Probably take a few moments just to actually confirm that or not. But I think I'm more inclined to just do a little bit of reading up on that. And then maybe do that as another feature in another session. I think I'm more inclined to actually wrap this up as a feature in and of itself. What have I saved? Oh, right, yeah. Oh, didn't do that. Let's add that. And we'll go with that. Cool, right. Remember, I actually do have a. No, I wanted that. Hey, Vanilla. So Vanilla asks, so what exactly am I doing? So what I'm doing is, if I just break off for a moment, I have this application that I started developing December last year, I think it was. I created the first version. So it's a honest question because I have no clue. It's a perfectly fine question. I'm glad you asked. Especially if you come late into a stream or something like that, you can never know what someone rambled on about early on. So this is a application called Tinboard, which is a client for a bookmarking service called Tinboard. So it's just a handy place, handy location to store bookmarks and go back and refer to them, and you got a whole tagging system and all this kind of stuff and everything. Really quite handy, I find. I've been using it for years. I didn't write it, but there's various clients for phones and stuff like that. So I have clients on my phones, client on my tablet. I have a bookmarklet in my browser and all that kind of stuff. And if I see something that's interesting and I want to go back and read it, I'll save it into Tinboard. And so I use it as a sort of a read later thing. But I also use it as I've read stuff and I want to go back and refer to it at some point later tool as well. So that's a long way of saying this is a terminal-based client written in Python and written using textual as the framework for developing the application. And I built all of that, and that's all working, and I use it lots, and it's really, really quite handy. But the thing I wanted to do, the thing I've been working on, did a little bit of it yesterday, and the thing I've been just finishing off today is if you keep lots of bookmarks for a long time, as I'm sure you'll know, eventually some of them will go stale. The actual bookmark, the page itself will disappear, it'll 404, or maybe the site disappears, in which case, you've got no way of ever getting it again. And what I tend to do is, like, if I go back and refer to a bookmark that has disappeared, I'll then go and check if it's in the Wayback machine. But that's a two-stage process. I'll copy the URL, go visit the Wayback machine, paste the URL in there, and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. So I just got to thinking, what if I had a feature which just, like, at the press of a button, goes off, looks at the Wayback machine and says, yep, it's available. It was last archived here. It was still 200, and that's 2 days ago, that kind of thing. And then, I can actually hit the button, which will go off and view it in the archive as well. So it's just a handy little thing that I've been adding. And, if I go and look at one that isn't there, it'll say, nah, that's not in the Wayback machine. Just realised I kind of inconsistently spelt Wayback machine as well. There. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Might do that. There we go. I'm trying to make sure I always uppercase it because there's a name of something. Okay, that's better. Let's fix that. Didn't it again? It's really cool, mate. Hope you achieve your goals in finishing this project. Thank you. It's really kind of you. It's one of those things that's a little bit niche. If you don't use Tinboard, it's not going to be that useful. It's really useful for me. I don't know if anyone else uses it, but I quite extensively use Tinboard. So I find it really quite handy. I was looking. I have a issue for this, don't I? Although I think what I'll do is I'll actually point to the pull request. Yeah. Cool. Right. I think that's kind of a PR that's feature complete, as it were. So, Mr. Dave. Just Dave. Just Dave will do. It was good to meet you, Vanilla. Hope the rest of your day is great as well. Thanks for dropping by and thanks for saying hello as well. Okay. I think we're good. Let's give it a review. Am I making a game? No. No, I'm not making a game. Random guy on the net. I have made a game with Textual before. In fact, there's a game... let me just run it up for a second. There we go. So there's an actual example in Textual that I wrote, which is a little puzzle game. So the idea of this game is if you click on a square, this combination of squares gets flipped. It gets toggled. So if I do that, they all turn off. If I do that, they all turn on. If I click there, that'll turn on, that'll turn on, that'll turn on. That one will turn off, and that one will turn off. Like that. So it's a puzzle where you have to fill all of the squares. Okay, so like you got to try and get them all filled in. And it can be solved in 14 moves. And that's the really nasty thing about it, is it looks really quite straightforward. It looks really quite simple. You can read the code as much as you like. There's no solution in there. You can't see what the solution is. But yeah, if you like little games that annoy you, little puzzle games that annoy you, give that one a go. It's also available. I've written this. This is one of those applications that I've written it in lots of different ways. I wrote it in Visual Basic back in the early 1990s. I did a version in Clipper that ran under DOS back in the 1990s. I've done a version for the US Robotics Palm Pilot. I've done a version for Emacs. If you've ever used Emacs, 5x5 is one of the games that's built into Emacs. I'm the guy who wrote that. And I've done a couple of versions for the web and stuff like that as well. I'm trying to remember. Is it surge.sh or something like... Yeah, there we go. If you go to 5x5.surge.sh, this is a version that I've done for the web. So it's like same kind of thing, just a little bit fancier. Try and solve it and see if you can do it in 14 moves. Anyway, I'm off on a tangent because what I was doing was I've updated the changelog. Right, yeah, that's where I got to. So I was about to do my pull request, wasn't I? I was about to... cost merging is blocked because, I've got it set up like that. So we should do a review of this code. Oh yeah, I wrote it. It's perfect. It looks fantastic. I think this is the best code that anyone has ever submitted a PR for to my application. I'm going to go with it. Right. Let's merge that pull request. Cool. Delete branch. It's now in main. Let's close that. Go back to where we were. Oop. And we should be good. Nice, nice, nice. It's all working. There we go. Feature added. I think I'll leave it there. I think I'm slowly getting to the point where I want to be thinking about getting some dinner on the go and things like that. So, yeah. I think what I'll do is I'll actually, as I said, I'll make that a release. and I do think there's a couple of other features that I can base off that, is the idea. So yeah, I think what I will do is in some future version, as I say, I will make this a release. I will make this new thing a version, and then maybe what I will do is add the ability to have a button that says replace the URL of the bookmark with the Wayback Machine archive URL. So that's a useful thing if something, if a thing that I bookmarked goes away. And the other one, what was the other one? I'm going to have to go back and watch my own stream now, and I try and remind myself. There was another thing I wanted to do. Oh, yeah, the submit a bookmark for archiving. So I want to look that up, and I imagine there's an easy way of doing that. I would be astonished if there isn't just a URL that you post to or something like that that actually does that. So I think I'll head down that route and do that. But I'm going to go now and go and get some dinner on. So for anyone who may be watching still, thanks for dropping by and looking over my shoulder and things like that. And especially thanks to Vanilla and Random Guy on the net who dropped in and said hello. So goodbye to everyone who may be watching at the moment. And for anyone who watches this recording at some point in the future as well. Thanks for watching as well. And goodbye.